Apple, man. Do you have a lot of Apple products?
I don't.
I do. I think I might have almost every Apple product out there. The watch, phone. Damn, maybe someone will try to hack me now, man. Nah, not
Who's gonna
important.
try to hack you?
Yeah, I'm not important enough. Anyway, people don't target hackers don't target Apple products like that anyway, so it doesn't matter. I'm safe.
No, I think. I mean, I have an iPhone, but that's pretty much for work purposes.
Yeah, you know what's one thing I don't have, and it came out like recently is Apple bank account.
What's that?
Yeah,
I hated the way you segued into that.
dude, why are you doing this to me?
I know you did that so well, but it was just like you kind of fell out of character, and you were like, "Yeah."
I hate you. Now it's fucked. Everything's fucked now. That's it. It's
No, it
over.
wasn't. This is still good. We're still talking. You just have to start here. Again, this is fine. We're all just having conversation. No,
Right.
you asked me a question, and then right as I was gonna answer, you interjected and said, "You know what does sound good?" Blah, and I'm like, I was in the middle of a fucking sentence.
Or what the fuck were you gonna say, man? It's over. Like the
I was
whole.
talking about no. I want to do that again.
Okay, so let's do this again. All right. So Apple, the fruit, not the company. Do you eat apples, bro?
I'm actually allergic to apples.
Yeah, man. Me too.
No
Fuck.
way.
I think I'm allergic. I mean, I do get some sort of reaction, but it's not to the point where I can't breathe. It's more like my throat starts itching, and so I mean, I've continued eating apples even after that, and I'm okay. It's just it gets to the point where it's just itchy. So I'm not sure if it's like I'm not having enough apples to die, or it's like maybe I'm not allergic to apples. I don't know.
Anyways, that's a weird tangent, but so let's talk about the Apple stuff that you wanted to talk about.
Oh yeah, the Apple, man. Apple seems like they're taking over everything, man. They're opening a savings account. There's a new car they're building. They're trying to segue into everything, man. And one thing that I haven't touched upon or even like looked into, meaning like I haven't actually opened a an Apple account. One thing I found interesting is the interest rate, man. Even though we're in a recession, man. Fuck it. Fuck what everyone says. We're in a recession. We've been in a recession for one fucking year. People are getting laid off like crazy. Have you heard about Amazon? They keep laying off people.
Yeah, just had
Even
like a fourth
Apple,
round or something like that.
even Apple, supposedly, they were doing quality control and they were making sure that they were hiring people. Like at a certain point, they were like, they're the only IT tech company that hasn't overhired people. And next thing you know, they're laying off people.
Yeah, a lot
And
of
here they are opening a bank, man, with a high interest rate, high yield interest rate, man, over 4%.
as
Crazy.
they should. How did they do that legally? Because Apple's not a bank.
Yeah, yeah, that's the crazy thing. Also, man, it's just the partnerships that they have. They have Goldman Sachs, and because of that, they're able to utilize their bank license, man.
Sounds sketchy to me.
Yeah, because like, wouldn't you think Goldman Sachs has their own thing going on? Why do they need Apple? But then again, probably they're trying to like, in some way, maybe segue into also tech companies partnering with finance companies because if things continue like this, you might see Amazon, you might see Facebook also partnering with maybe JP Morgan, all these other big banks, right? And that'll be crazy.
I'm all right. That's. There's already too many fingers in those pies, respectively. I don't want. I don't
You
think
know, one thing
it's
I don't
necessarily
know.
a cool idea to intermingle the two now.
Yeah, so
Maybe I'm a luddite. I don't know.
you know how I mentioned the fact that Apple doesn't have a bank license.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, is there a limitation to how many bank licenses are out there? That's something I definitely have to look into. And also like you know how it comes to like when it comes to liquor, right? Like a liquor license. Usually, I don't know about the other states, but usually at least in the East Coast, I know that each state has like, a limited amount of how many liquor licenses are dispersed
Right.
at a time. So I'm thinking to myself, just to limit how many financial institutions exist. I think there's probably some regulations as to how many licenses could exist. Because think about it, I'm pretty sure Apple could buy or qualify for a bank license if they really wanted to. Maybe there's a limitation to how many licenses are out there. I might be wrong. I'll look into it and I'll get back to you guys. The audience. I'm pretty sure the audience is like, "Oh, I never knew about this shit," because I didn't know about it until a week ago. But yeah, man, that's something I find interesting. How this massive, like, I consider them a monopoly of a company. They are, man. Apple and Microsoft, they're huge, man. Especially when it comes to phones, they definitely have a monopoly on phones, man.
I don't know about monopoly. I mean,
It's
a monopoly would kind of like suggest that nobody else is allowed to compete. There's a lot of competitors. The shit is Apple just kicks all their asses. Not that I'm an Apple fanboy, but you know, just calling it what it is. Like, there's a lot of competition. There's a bunch of Chinese like phones. There's a bunch of other,
I mean, is it considered competition if they're not well-known brands?
it's still competition. It's not
Yeah,
direct competition, but there's still a market, and it's a big. I wouldn't call it a huge market. Well, depends how you define it, but you know what I mean. Like, there's not a lot of players that you know of, but there's definitely a lot of players.
yeah, because like
They're just winning.
that thing, the Nokia,
Yeah.
BlackBerry
No. Yeah.
companies.
What were we talking about before that?
The savings bank, man, the bank that Apple just opened up with partnership with Goldman Sachs, and they already actually. So there's a little twist to it. So you're not able to open a bank account without opening a credit card with Apple.
More sketch. Tell me more.
Yeah, so because of that, like it limits your outreach, but not only that, it's kind of forcing the consumer to switch over to, not only opening a savings account, but opening a credit line as well. So it's like they're trying to buy into this market, I guess, the credit and also savings. So debit and credit.
I mean, they got a huge pipeline already of customers. I mean, Apple's a lifestyle. You got
Yes,
people.
but
I
that's
imagine that the more Apple products you have, the more inclined you are to try Apple services. So, whereas they focus mostly on products, banking industry, savings, that's more so services. They already
yeah,
have an existing pipeline of product consumers, consumers. I would imagine that they just say, hey, this is probably like a perfect, group of people to try yet another thing to try to monopolize. But like you said,
yeah.
there's other big
They're,
players in that game too. Way
yeah,
bigger players than Apple.
so they're just tapping into their existing customer base, basically, and I think it might work, man. And this whole like, I was reading that this whole CDBC thing, digital bank system that's coming in July. Supposedly they already have regulations and stuff that they're working on, and supposedly in July they're going to kick it off. It's kind of like what Goldman Sachs is also looking into. So not only are they partnering with Apple and offering themselves as a financial institution to back up their bank,
Mhm.
they're also looking into themselves uh, opening their own digital bank with whatever regulations the U.S. Federal Reserve comes up with. So it's kind of weird, right? Because you're like, okay, I'm partnering with Apple so that way they can open a bank, but at the same time, I'm doing my own thing to create my own digital bank. So it makes me think that in the future, right, a lot of these tech companies, I know I mentioned this already, they're probably going to partner with financial institutions, but at the same time, they're going to have their own digital bank as well, right? So it makes you think, would a consumer go to Apple or would they go straight to Goldman Sachs, which is actually providing the financial institution bank license for them to even conduct business that way? So
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Goldman Sachs really wants to get their hands in that, so it would make sense to just get Apple involved. I'm trying to think about this from the perspective of like adoption of a CBDC, right? Central bank digital currency. It's like if you know that, or like, I guess off the top of your head, how many banking services do you think of? Like, who are your favorite? No sponsorship, no endorsement.
For banking?
Yeah.
Fuck it, man. American Express and J.P. Morgan, Chase.
All right, cool. Bet. And then for like credit cards, I would say probably my favorite is like American Express in
Yeah,
terms of like customer service, that kind of thing.
yeah, yeah.
Imagine if any one of those had Apple level service in the same, like in the same respect that, they that attention to
Wait,
detail, attention to
actually
simplicity. It's all about the user
had
experience.
that.
What?
If if Apple had customer service as American Express.
If American Express had Apple level service?
Well, Apple level service is not that bad. Based
That's
on
what I'm
my
saying. It's
experience.
really good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, so are you trying to say that maybe Goldman Sachs is leveraging Apple
There
to
you
not
go.
only tap into their customer base, but also tap into their customer service as well?
Everything. It's the entire user experience. It's whenever you open up an Apple
Mm-hmm.
box and it's like
Wow.
perfectly packaged. It's the attention to detail. It's the fact that they give a shit about their customer. At least they try to make it seem that way. I don't speak for Apple. I don't. I mean, I do own Apple stock, but you know what I
That's
mean. Like
actually
it makes sense that Goldman Sachs is not going to want to do this directly. They'd say, "Hey, who's the best person we know that probably has the capability of doing this and crossing over?" It's like, hell yeah, who doesn't want more Apple shit? There you go. Get Apple into the
wow.
banking industry, and then that will probably maybe drive adoption of a central bank digital currency if you know that you're going to get Apple level care. Because I think the issue with the CBDC, among many, but is going to be how do you get people who are on the team orange or like the bitcoiners, the cryptocurrency people, all the people who say, hey, these things are a bad idea. How do you get those people to come over? And maybe not the hardliners, but the people at that 50-yard line, the people who are somewhere in the middle and saying, I don't care too much, either way. I think the government knows too much about me, but at the same time, bug it. I like Apple stuff.
Yeah. When you think about Apple, what do you think about? Like, do you think about something that's very upgrade, tech savvy product, or do you think of it more like aesthetics?
It's a confluence of many factors, but I would say it's like a big driving factor for me is definitely the simplicity. I would say that's key. Is just making things easy to use.
Easy to use, like anyone could just pick up an
Right.
iPhone and pick it
Also,
up quick.
simplicity in design, elegant, sleek line. That's cool. That's a nice sticking point. But also the other big thing, like thinking more abstractly, is definitely the fact that there's an ecosystem of other IoT kind of things, but or not IoT things, but you know what I mean. Electronic devices. So there's an entire ecosystem. So once you get in, it's kind of like you need a watch. I got you a watch. You need a phone. Got a phone. AirPods.
You know what's one thing that's missing?
Fucking credit card.
Car.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A car.
The iCar.
Yeah. So the iCar.
Tell
So
me
it's
more.
it's crazy. So we started talking about Apple. We talked about financial institutions, why they could leverage Apple and stuff. What I find interesting is that okay, if they get into the because it's a concept right now, right? The iCar, they've been talking about it for like the past 4 years. Um, if they tap into that market, do you see them partnering with a pre-existing like automobile um
Oh, like a
I don't,
manufacturer like a Ford. Or,
yeah, like maybe like a Ford or something like that, or do you see them like just doing their own thing?
I mean, the last time we had a big competitor that I can think of this kind of like magnitude, or I mean, Tesla wasn't that when it first started, but it was the idea that here comes an outsider trying to do something outsiders do, which is disrupt the market. They did
Yeah.
not get a warm reception from the car manufacturing industry. You know what I mean? Everybody fought tooth and nail to not get EVs into that game because now everybody's going to have to compete. Um, and for the most part, many companies didn't compete for years and still are, there's a push for it for, ESG kind of investment. But for the most part, there's a lot of resistance there. So I'd imagine Apple coming in is going to get a similar welcome. They're going to be like, you want to do what? Nah. So chances are they would have to partner up with
Mhm.
another car company that's, equally premium, kind of shares some of the same, ethics, or not ethics, but I would hope so. Um, but some of the like design elements or the core ethics, I keep on saying ethics, but like core values, I guess you could say.
Yeah, values or like mission.
Yeah. So that they could deliver, something sleek, elegant, maybe luxury, but Apple's not really a luxury brand. I say that tongue in cheek, kind of, but it's by the masses. Like everybody's got an iPhone, everybody's
It
got an
caters
Apple
to
product. It's not really a luxury brand. It's just a really nice, well thought out brand.
yeah. I mean, it kind of caters to people with high net worth, I would say. For certain things, like they offer like a wristband that's Hermes, like things like
Oh
that.
yeah, they definitely cater to like higher end, but I'm talking in general. Like Apple's kind of core market is very broad because as long as you're above
Yeah,
poverty level, you can pretty much have an iPhone.
true.
You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like the vast majority of people aren't rich. Apple's making their money off of low to medium, income people. Not to mention what those markets look like abroad. I don't know what it looks like internationally.
yeah. I think abroad is a little bit different. I think abroad, like having an iPhone is like wow, like you have an
Probably, I'd
iPhone.
imagine. But I would also imagine that there's a lot of competition in terms of all the other competitors you don't know about. That's probably where they
Yeah,
are, and so there's probably more competition at a lower price point. But that at that $1,000 price point, Apple's still a good buy.
yeah. So I saw the concept online. It's pretty cool. It's like the charging stations would look similar to like a charging cable for like your iWatch. Like a little imagine like a huge metal plate
Oh, okay, yeah,
like for your iWatch, and I'm
like a big ass cheap charger, but
that
for a car.
yeah, so it would lift up the car, literally place that plate under the car, charge it, and then place it back down. Which is I don't know, it was just a concept video that I saw, which but it looked really really cool. Um, but I think, man, I think Apple might. I actually think they're not going to partner with anyone. I think they're just going to try to do their own
And try to
thing,
make their own Apple car.
their own EV
That
car.
I
I
think
think
that's
so.
wild. I think they're better off
Hardware,
partnering with like
uh,
one of the other EV competitors and then being like, "Hey, we're gonna combine."
no, I think that's the way to go, but I don't think that's the route they're going to
Wow,
take.
that's huge. So you think that they're gonna
Yeah,
simultaneously go into the banking industry and the car manufacturing industry roughly at the same time?
yeah,
That's wild.
and they're not going to partner when it comes to yeah. Yeah, those are my thoughts. I mean, based on the concept, I didn't see any other brand there, but they might have to partner. But I think that it's not likely to happen. I think they're going to try to do their own thing, and I'm not sure. I mean, they have the data, right, to create their own software.
They got the resources
They
to
they,
move mountains, sure.
they have maps, right? They have maps, so they have to set infrastructure. So they have Siri, which is collecting data
Right.
all the
I mean,
time.
but all those things to me scream you're a really good business partner, not you have the capability and the logistics to go from like zero bare material to an
Yeah.
actual, pipeline that's vertically integrated all the way to the top and then distribute based off of the fact that you have a bunch of cell phones and really good intellectual property, shit like that.
I, I think the reason I say that is because Google as well, they mentioned as well concept that they're working on their own car, but I think they've stated that they're going to try to do everything on their
That's
own.
I
Um,
think I'm not saying it's not probable. Like if there were any other companies to do it, it would have to be either Apple or Google. Be honest, as much as I
yeah.
love Microsoft, but who wants to drive a Microsoft PC car?
It's you see that you see
Why?
how yeah, you see how the brand has some sort of like I guess sexy to it, you
Yeah,
could
it's got an
say,
appeal.
right? Yeah, where you're like, hey, I'd rather have a Apple versus like a Microsoft car.
But I think that's all context dependent. And it has a
Do
lot
you
to
think
do
it'll?
with who you are. Like let's say from definitely as a consumer, like your individual personality, but also even as a company. Like think about the enterprises or the businesses that say, "Hey, we're going to be a Mac shop or we're going to be a PC shop." It has to. I don't want to say it has to be in line with their aesthetic or their, but that like there has to be some kind of alignment somewhere in order to
Yeah,
get that
definitely.
to
Yeah.
work.
Uh, we're kind of running out of time here. But I wanted to mention something. I know we talked about like Apple and Microsoft, so I think later on other episodes we're definitely gonna talk about like dating and relationships, because one thing I've noticed, I don't know about you, man, but from the experience I've had is if a girl sees that text message green, she's not replying back, bro.
Yikes.
So, you know what I mean? It goes as far as that, bro.
Yeah,
Like you have
at
a
this point,
you don't have a phone, something's wrong with you. You're a weirdo. You're an Android user.
I'm sure that there's
You know what I mean?
somebody. I'm sure that there's somebody like on the Android side that is working on
Dude,
that
no, I haven't
appeal.
heard that. Heard that. I haven't seen an Android user that's like, oh, you have an iPhone?
Again, maybe it's different overseas. I don't know. They might look at you like, oh,
And if
you're too
there's
cool
a
for us.
comment comment on this below, let us know.
Where